If you guys can hear me, let me know in the chat. Hello, hello, hello. We had some technical difficulties, which is extremely frustrating, but it is what it is. Let's see here. Don't want to mute. So I want to make sure my audio is okay. All right, let me switch to this one. All right. If someone can hear that in the chat. All right. So I see we have a few people here. So that means we're live. Let's see here. So we are talking about, okay, you can hear me. Awesome. Thank you, Allison. All right. Thank you, Ranford. Extremely frustrating. I like to be on time. This is not the computer that I want it to be on. This is not the lighting that I want it to have. I've got my stuff over there, and for some strange reason, my laptop did not want to connect to the internet. So we're stuck with this dark picture and all that good stuff. But we're here. So we are going to keep it moving despite all that is. All right. Let's see here. Okay. So we are talking about the process. Oh, yeah, we're talking about the process of managing your own rental properties. So my name is Cameron Norfleet. For those of you who don't know, those of you that are not familiar, oh, this picture, this is so annoying. I had the lighting set up and everything. Anyway, so my name is Cameron Norfleet. I am the owner broker of Chennai Real Estate. We are also, or I also do property management and all that good stuff. I own property. I'm an investor myself. I work with a lot of investors in terms of buying and selling property and all that good stuff. So I am very well versed in this stuff. With that said, I'm going to be discussing some things today, some practices that we utilize in our business. But with that said, just because these are our systems and processes today does not mean that the same will be the case tomorrow or going forward and so on and so forth. I say that to say that systems change, processes change. Okay, so this is going to be on YouTube and all that good stuff. So if you're watching this a year from now, some of these things may have changed. All right, systems evolve. Okay. So I just want to put that out there. All right. So another disclaimer: I am not I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an attorney. Don't construe anything that I say here as legal advice, as financial advice, as I'm also not a I'm not a financial advisor. Don't construe it as tax advice and all that good stuff. All right. I'm just a realtor, property manager, investor that knows a little something about this stuff, right? But don't consider it as professional legal advice or anything like that. Okay. So we are going to start. Let me take this off. Okay. Right here. All right. So we're going to start in talking about the tenant acquisition process. All right. The tenant acquisition process. So here's the thing is that in order to properly manage any rental property, you're going to have to establish systems and processes. You have to have good systems and processes. Okay. And in talking to a lot of landlords or even people that know landlords that have had horror stories, many times when I really dig into what the problem was, a lot of times it is due to a lack of systems and processes. Okay. And that's the issue. They don't have good systems and processes. So I'm going to be talking today about various processes that we have and that you should consider implementing into your business. Even if you tweak it a little bit, all right, to make it work for you, I think that you'll get a really good idea as to you know, what types of systems and processes that you should have established in your business. Okay. So the tenant acquisition process, that is certainly a something that you want to streamline. Okay. And when dealing with tenant acquisition, you want to have a process because you want to treat everyone the same. You want to treat everyone the same. Okay. And that's as it pertains to selecting tenants, how you screen these tenants, and so on and so forth. Fair housing violations is a real thing, and I'll go into that a little bit later in detail. But fair housing violations is a real thing. All right, and you don't want to get yourself caught up in that. And when you start to treat people different, you know, based on whatever, you know, whether you actually are discriminating or it just is construed as you discriminating, it's all the same once you get to the courthouse. Okay. So, you know, don't do that. Make sure you have good systems and processes in place and you're treating everyone the same. All right. So the first thing is to write a compelling unit description. All right. So you have a unit that's available. First thing you want to do is write a good unit description. All right. I am so surprised, even though it's only been a few months, probably about 6-8 months. I don't think it's been a year yet. But I'm so surprised with the amount of people that have never heard of ChatGPT. All right, ChatGPT is an awesome software. Period. It's AI, artificial intelligence, but it's an awesome program to write your unit descriptions. And it's just basically, you know, what the tenant should expect if they're going to live in this unit. All right. With that said, ChatGPT, in my experience, is not great with sifting out keywords to not use, keywords and phrases to not use to keep yourself out of fair housing violations. All right. You want to stay away from words like, you know, good family neighborhood. All right. Or even really good neighborhood or bad. Nobody's gonna say bad neighborhood, but, you know, you really want to stay away from a lot of those things. You want to stay away from saying, you know, the property is close to churches or close to synagogues or what have you. You want to stay away from that type of verbiage because that could be construed as a fair housing violation. Because if you say it's a good family neighborhood or this home is perfect for a family or whatever, then that could violate someone. That could be construed as discriminating against someone that doesn't have a family. All right. And that is a fair housing violation. All right. So you want to stay away from certain phrases and keywords and things like that. All right. And ChatGPT, as of today, is really not that good with that. So you definitely want to read through it, you know, to make sure that you're not in violation of any fair housing laws and you know, just language and things of that nature. And even what I said as far as, you know, churches and synagogues, what if someone is a Muslim, right? If they see that you're saying that, you know, it's close to synagogues, and they may feel that, you know, this is a Jewish neighborhood or something to that effect. Okay. And that's all that's there. This is, you know, it's close to churches. So are you saying this is only for Christians and so on and so forth? So again, just stay away from language that can be construed as kind of constraining it to only certain people, certain types of people, certain demographics of people that are allowed to be there. All right. So first things first, write yourself a good property description if you are renting out a unit. All right. Then, of course, and this goes without saying, you want to take good photos. All right. Photos of the inside, photos of the outside. I don't know how many times I've just seen a photo of the outside of the building. Sometimes this is even by professional real estate agents that do this. All right. But you want to have as many photos as possible. Most people are looking for their rentals online. And, you know, that's, you definitely want to, okay, someone does not have the link. All right. Hold on 1 second. Everything's being slow right now. Okay. All right. So, you know, you want to take as many photos as possible. You want to, you know, like I was saying, people are online. I lost my train of thought. People are online looking at houses, and they definitely want to be able to see as many photos as possible. All right. So you want to take care of that. Okay. Then another thing that I do, or that we do, is we do a video walkthrough of the property. So we'll do an entire video walkthrough of the property, and and we'll save that in like a Google Drive, or you could even do like an unlisted YouTube video or what have you. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit later what we're going to do with all these, okay? Because some of the platforms that you're gonna go on, you actually can't upload a video, but you can't upload a photo, or you could upload a video to your Google Drive or unlisted YouTube video or what have you, and you can send that off to any prospects that want to see the place. I'll go more into that in detail in a little bit. All right. Another thing that you're going to want to do is set up a dedicated web page for the property. And again, this revolves around systems and processes. All right. These are things that I don't really see a lot of people doing. All right. But it has worked wonders in my business to kind of streamline things and to make things a lot simpler. All right. It reduces phone calls and reduces the amount of time that you have to go out to the property. And we'll get into all that. All right. But again, I'm really going to emphasize during this entire webinar that systems is what you want to develop in this business. All right. If you're going to be a good long-standing landlord, you're not going to get burnt out. You got to have good systems. Okay. So you're going to have a dedicated web page for the unit. On that web page, you're going to have the photos. You're also going to have the video, and you could do all this in Google Sites. You don't have to use Google Sites. This is just, it's a free option for you. If you have your own website or whatever, you can do that. You can upload it there. But what you're going to do is when the tenants or when prospects actually reach out to you, you're going to send them this. You're going to send them the link to this to this site. And on the site, it has all the information that they're looking for. Pretty much every question that they're going to ask you is answered on this website. All right. How much is the rent? How much is the deposit? When is it going to be available? Is it the first floor, second floor, third floor, what have you? All right. All the questions that the tenants are going to ask you is going to be on that web page, that website. All right. Again, this saves so much time. All right. Everybody always asks you the same questions. All right. So if you have all this information on this one web page, it makes things so much simpler. Okay. So I'll go more into that later. The next thing you're gonna want to do is open up, or you're going to set the open house. All right. The open house schedule is also going to be on that web page. All right. So now here's the thing. I don't really do, one-on-one showings for a rental property. All right. I do one or two open houses a week. All right. And it's usually about a half hour time frame. All right. So I'll say every Wednesday between 12 o'clock and 12:30 p.m. Until it's rented. And every Saturday between 12 o'clock and 12:30 p.m. until it's rented. All right. And I'm just there. If they can make it, then they can make it. If they can't make it, well, hopefully you can make the next one. All right. But if you're actually going to every single showing, if a tenant calls you or they hit you up on Facebook or whatever the case is, whatever website that you have it on, Zillow or whatever, and they say, I would like to see this, I want to see this unit, and you go out there and show them the unit, there's going to be countless amounts of times that people are just not going to show up, and they don't care. Right? They ask you if they could see it. Maybe at the time they wanted to see it, but then maybe they found something else. Maybe they changed their mind. Maybe they forgot about it. Okay. But, if you're showing each person the house every single time that somebody asks on an individual basis, you're going to be running around like a chicken with the head cut off. Okay. So that's one reason why I do the open house, is because I have a set time when I'm going to be there. And if you come, you come. If you don't, you don't. This is the time. All right. Also, at the open house, I do, and you want to do this as well, is you set up a Zoom link, all right, or some sort of online service where they could actually view the property remotely. They can actually do a virtual showing. All right. That's great because sometimes people can't make it. Maybe they work on Wednesday or whenever you have the showing, and they work on Saturday, or whenever you have your second showing or what have you, and they just can't make it. Or maybe they're out of town, maybe they're on vacation or what have you. All right. So what you'll do is you'll have a Zoom link, and again, it could be some other platform or whatever, but have a Zoom link so that they can actually view it remotely. So don't forget, we already did a video of the property, and that's just you walking through the property. So you can send them that video, or if they want to kind of be virtually present, then they can watch the virtual, and that way they can ask you questions and, hey, look, can you show me this closet? I saw a closet over there on the left-hand side. Can you show me the inside of that closet? They can do that if they do the virtual showing. All right. So again, I only do those 2 showings for the week. I don't make exceptions. They could either come to the open house, or they could view it virtually, or that's about it. Okay. But it works. And here's the thing. It's not uncommon, at least for me, it's not uncommon to have 30, 40 people that are coming through in that half-hour time span. And so what I do is, if there's a lot of people, there at the open house, then I'll even just say, okay, in 10 minutes, I'll let everybody walk through, and I'll just say in 10 minutes, I'll start answering all questions. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of people asking you the same questions and so on and so forth. All right. So that's something that you'll want to consider. I'm just looking at these comments. Yes, absolutely. ChatGPT is awesome. Yes, I agree with you guys. All right. So you want to do that. Now, here's another one. Text responder snippets. You want to write this down. It's really just text responder. Write down text responder. Okay. Text responder is an awesome program. I wish there was a way I could show it to you. But just Google text responder and then watch some YouTube videos on it. All right. So what I do is, anytime that someone contacts me because they want to see the property, again, now I'm going to send them that link. I'm going to send them the Zoom link if they can't make it. All right. And but I'll do all this through a text responder. All right. So what text responder is, you guys are familiar with keyword shortcuts, or at least you might be. Hopefully you're familiar with keyword shortcuts. It's basically a software where you can put in whatever you need to put in. You can say, all right, let's just say someone contacted me on Facebook Marketplace, and they said, hey, I would like to see this unit, or hey, is the unit still available? That's what everybody says. Is this unit still available? So I have a response, and I assign the keywords, and I could just put like plus, or whatever combination of keywords that I come up with. All right. And as soon as I click on to respond to their message, I just click that shortcut, and it just spits out my entire message. And in that message, it says a little bit about the property, how many bedrooms it is, when it's available, this, that, and the other. And obviously all this stuff is put in prior to, but it has all that information there. There's also the link to that web page that I was telling you guys about. And there's also the link to the Zoom that I was telling you guys about, and the video that I was telling you guys about. So with that, like, it makes it so much easier, because a lot of times, especially with Facebook Marketplace, and I think that's that's actually the next thing right here. So you want to post a unit on Facebook Marketplace and other websites. Websites like Zillow and all that, they're okay. They're not quite as good as they used to be for me. Facebook Marketplace is the place to be. All right. You like, I get like, within the first 24 hours, I probably usually get about 100 to 200 different people that actually respond and ask me about the unit. All right. So it's a lot. And it would be crazy for me to try to go in there and actually have a conversation with everybody, asking the same questions. Okay. And again, this is why you want to have this website, or this web page. All right. It saves so much time. But again, going back to text responder, so all I'm doing is I go to each, like I said, I might have like 100 or 200 within the first 24 hours. All right. So I'll actually go in there, and I'll just type in whatever my keywords are. We'll just use plus. So I hit plus, and it'll just spit out the whole set of phrases or words or whatever paragraph that I put in there, talking about the property, giving them the links and all that good stuff. And then I go to the next one, plus, enter, go to the next one, plus, enter, and keep going down the line until I get to all 200 people. All right. Just think about that when you have 200 people that have inquired about your property. If you have to go in and answer questions on a one-by-one basis, it would just be crazy. All right. So that makes that so much easier. All right. So beware, please beware of fair housing traps. There are people out there, and this is not uncommon. There are people out there that will inquire about your unit, in my opinion, with no intention of ever moving in. All right, they just kind of want you to violate their fair housing rights, right? But they ask a few questions. One of the questions that you get all the time, and I'm not saying that this is necessarily a trap, because I think people legit have this question, is, do you accept Section 8? Yes, we accept Section 8. Okay. Here's the thing. It's illegal. It is illegal to not accept someone just because they have Section 8. All right. So if you answer that and you say, no, I don't accept Section 8, you're already in violation. All right. So number one, I want to say this: don't refuse anybody just because they have Section 8. All right. Don't discriminate. With that said, it is a violation if you tell them, no, we don't accept Section 8. But there are other violations also. I had someone recently, what'd you say? And she said that, okay, one thing that I get somewhat often is, I'm disabled, and I might need to make a few alterations to the unit. Will you allow that? Yes, I will. All right. It's the law. It's the law that if a disabled person needs to make alterations to your unit, then you have to allow them to make alterations to your unit. Obviously, it has to be, they're not going to tear down your entire building, right? But you have to allow them to do that. And then before they leave, or once they leave, they have to put it back to where, the way that it was, on their dime. All right. But I get that question. Listen, I'm disabled, or my uncle, my aunt is disabled, or whatever. Will you allow us to make renovations to the unit? Yes, I will. All right. Listen, I'm a victim of, domestic abuse or whatever. Will you allow me to live in your unit? Like, again, be careful. Do not violate someone's rights. And this is my thing that I tell to everybody: know your rights. Know landlord-tenant laws. Okay, know the landlord-tenant laws. It's right in the Connecticut General Statutes. All right, so look that up. Connecticut General Statutes, landlord-tenant laws. Get yourself familiar with it. Okay. And that's pretty much that. All right. Open house schedule, open house. All right. So now we're at the open house. I talked about this a little bit, but everyone is coming in. They're viewing the property, viewing the unit or whatever. And again, I mean, your numbers are going to vary in terms of, how many people you got coming through, but you'll probably get a few, as long as your price is right. All right. Because I have had some, whereas honestly, I knew I was kind of reaching on the price, but I just want to see, what I would get. And I didn't get anybody walking through on the open house. So I kind of knew, got to bring the price down. Okay. But if your price is reasonable, you're going to get a lot of people. All right. There's a lot of people right now that are looking for rental units. All right. So that's something to keep in mind. All right. But anyway, so you have the open house. Again, just, kind of monitor everyone. And then after the open house, make sure that you lock all the doors, check all the windows, make sure that everything is secure, especially if it's a unit that's on the first floor. Make sure that you check everything, make sure that, everything is secure, because you don't want anybody coming back later. Because again, I mean, with that said, we never had people RSVP. So we don't really know who came through the unit. All right. We don't have their name. We don't have their email address, so on and so forth. We know that we had 200 people contact us, but I don't know which one of these people actually came to the unit. If you want to, you can have like a sign-in sheet or something like that. That's not really something that I usually do. All right. But another thing at the open house that you should do is post a QR code to your online rental application on the refrigerator. So I would hope that the days of paper applications are gone. All right. This is 2023. I know this is going to be on YouTube and such, but as of the recording, this is 2023. There should be no paper applications. So you should have an online application with a link. Obviously, you create a QR code, stick it on the refrigerator, and that way everybody that's walking through, they're all going to ask you, or at least those that are actually interested, how do I apply? And which actually that should have also been in that initial text responder that you sent out to them, and it should also be on the the web page that you created as well. There should be a link on there that if they want to apply, they can apply here. All right. But when they're walking through, I have a QR code that's posted on the refrigerator. That way, if they're interested, just apply, right? Another thing about paper applications, because back in the day, 10 years ago or whatever, I used to accept paper applications, and you can't read the email address, you can't read the name, so on and so forth. It makes it so much easier to use online applications, all right? So make sure that you're doing that, all right? And this just makes it that much easier because, again, they're going to ask you, so as opposed to, going through your phone, trying to find the link, to text them the link. Okay, what's your number? I'm gonna text it to you now. Forget all that, all right? They could just scan the QR code that's right on the refrigerator. All right, so we're gonna go over tenant screening. Tenant screening, okay. So with all of your applications, you should have an application process and qualification standards. You don't have to call it this. This is what I call it, all right? But you want to have some sort of document that goes over what would get the tenant disqualified, as well as what would get them the apartment. All right. If this is something that they're interested in, they need to know, what are your qualification standards? What is the application process? What should they expect during this process of applying for your unit? All right. And your application process and qualification standards should cover all this. All right. So they should know before they apply for the unit, they should know what will get me denied for this unit before they give you their application fee. If you have an application fee, all right, before they submit their application, they should know, or they should have the access to know. Because honestly, I kind of get the feeling that some people don't actually review the application process and qualification standards. It's right there on my application, but I don't know if everybody clicks it, because the people that I deny, it's like it was right there, like, the eviction history. It was right there. You were just evicted last week. Like, why are you applying for my unit? All right, because it says it right there on my qualification standards, the things that I do not accept. Okay, and that's up to you in terms of what you'll accept and what you don't accept. Just make sure that you're being legal. Again, go to Connecticut General Statutes, familiarize yourself with landlord-tenant laws, stay up on fair housing laws, because they do change. All right, so and we'll go into more of that later as well. All right, so you want to run background checks, and all this should also be on your qualification standards. All right, so you want to run background credit checks, criminal background checks, eviction checks, and so on and so forth. So I have here that we use SoftScreen. SoftScreen is a software that you could use to run these. Now, you got to remember, I actually run two different businesses. I have a real estate brokerage, and I have a real estate property management company. All right. So on the real estate brokerage side, when I am finding tenants for my clients, let's say you're a landlord, we can help you find a tenant. With that, I use SoftScreen on my personal units and properties that I manage or what have you. I use Buildium, and I'll go more into that later. But Buildium is a property management software, and there's a reason why. Basically, with Buildium, you have to actually create a property it's more of a long-term thing. So if we're just doing one transaction, it doesn't really make sense for me to create the whole profile of the property in Buildium if I'm just going to find a tenant. All right, but they both do the same thing. So SoftScreen is a software that we use on the brokerage side, and it's also a software that you can use as well. It's not just for real estate brokers, right? So you can use SoftScreen, and that's just what we use. I'm not sponsored by them. They're actually getting free publicity by me saying this. All right, so that's an option for you as well. All right. Another thing that I do is I call current landlords as well as former landlords. All right. In calling current landlords, I'll be honest with you, I put very little weight on what a current landlord says about the tenant. I've been burnt on this before. I had one person or at least one person that comes to mind, that gave the tenant a rave review. Oh man, he's leaving. Oh man, he's a great guy. Oh, I wish he was staying. Da 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 da, so on and so forth. And some way, somehow, I bought it. And man, oh man, man, I tell you, yeah, he didn't last long. That guy didn't last long. So that's why I put very, very little weight on what a current landlord says, because like it's a good possibility they just want to get rid of this person. All right. So I put very little weight on that. What I do put a lot of weight on is former landlords. Okay. So again, you see that it says I look for 3 to 5 years of history. All right. So what I do is I'll call former landlords or prior landlords, because they're going to tell you the truth. All right. If the tenant is, I don't say dumb enough, but if they are the type of person that is going to give you the name and phone number of a landlord that hated them, that's great for you, right? But I'm going to find out. All right. Again, they're going to be honest. More than likely, they're going to be very honest, because they have nothing to lose. They have nothing to gain, nothing to lose. All right. With that said, this information is going to be on the application. It's going to be on the application, just in terms of getting the information from them. But you can't necessarily put a bunch of weight on what the tenant is or what the applicant is saying as well, because this phone number that they're giving you could very well be the phone number of their cousin, their best friend, their whomever, right? So you want to have some sort of way to verify if this is actually the landlord of this property that they said they used to live in, all right? Whether that's their current landlord or their former landlord, all right? So what I do with that is, and this is for either or, the current or the former. What I do with that is, prior to me calling them, I go on public records. I don't know if I should say this on I'm gonna say it anyway. I just hope this doesn't burn me later. But I go on public records and I find out information about when they bought the property. So let's just say you are a landlord of 123 Main Street, all right, and you used to have this person as a tenant that's applying for my unit. So I'm going to go online and find out, how much did you pay for the property? When did you buy the property? How much did you mortgage the property for? All that stuff is public information. All right. And then I'm going to go through my list. And that's another system. All right. You want to already have your list available for, what questions you're going to ask this person. And then after you go through all these questions, I'm going to ask you, hey, when did you buy this property again? Oh, I bought it last year, but you already know, because you saw on public records that they bought it 5 years ago, or vice versa. They said they bought it 5 years, whatever. All right. You'll know if this person's lying to you. Hey, how much did you mortgage this property for? Various questions. All right. Get your questions in line, things that only the landlord is going to know. All right. The applicant's cousin is not going to know this information. They're not going to do this research. All right. Unless, of course, they watch this video and they know if they're applying for one of my units. But anyway, so that's something that you want to do, all right? Just to kind of pre-qualify the former landlord, to make sure that this is actually the person that you think that they are. And if it turns out the tenant is lying, sounds like they're not getting the unit, right? So that's one thing as well. Let me go back to these questions. Okay. So Allison asked, eviction denial isn't discrimination in Connecticut. I know they were trying to implement. Okay. So that's from Allison. So no, it's not illegal to discriminate against someone that was evicted. And yes, it is something that is up for, it's something that they're trying to change in the state of Connecticut. All right. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And again, that's another reason why you want to stay up on these, on the changes. All right. You want to stay up on the changes. And one way you can stay up on the changes, let me go back to this. Since you brought it up, Allison, let me make sure I don't lose this. Okay. Call former landlord. All right. What you'll want to do is this right here. I have a networking night dinner discussion coming up on September 19th. and that is at 6:30 p.m. till 9:30 p.m. And there's more information on that later. But this is where I will have an attorney that will be talking about all the changes that are coming up. All right, there are certain changes that are coming up October 1st. Today is September 9th. There are certain changes that will be coming up October 1st. I have an attorney that will be there talking about all the changes that are coming up. All right. Since you asked, I figured I'd throw that out there now. Let's see here. So another thing you want to do is collect pay stubs and bank statements for the last 2 months. All right. So anybody can kind of write up a pay stub and a bank. Anybody can kind of write up a pay stub, right? You can go online and you can find a pay stub from whatever company, and you can kind of draft that on your own. All right. You could probably do the same thing with bank statements, but it's going to be a lot more tedious to draft up a fake bank statement that actually makes sense and the numbers actually line up and all that good stuff. All right. So I asked for pay stubs. I asked for bank statements for the last 2 months. Now, I do sometimes get applicants that are like, man, it's not like I'm applying for a mortgage, right? All right. But again, I just let them know, listen, I've been burned before, so this is my process. If you want the unit, by all means, right? I need you to submit this information to me. All right. So what am I looking for in the bank statements? If you're telling me that you pay $1,000 a month or $1,200 a month or what have you, I want to see on that bank statement this money coming out. That's what I'm looking for. All right. I want to see that you're making this payment between the 1st and the 10th. All right. Preferably, much preferably. All right. And so on and so forth. So you want to collect pay stubs and bank statements. And here's the thing. Another thing I want to mention. Nothing is fail safe. Nothing is fail safe. We put these systems and processes in place so that we minimize, keyword minimize, the chances of having to evict someone later. Right, or just the chances of general issues with tenants later. All right, so that's that. Employment verification. All right, you want to actually call their employer if they're working. All right, you want to actually call their employer, and I say if they're working, not to be funny, but again, it's a fair housing violation to discriminate. It's going to sound crazy. It's a fair housing violation to discriminate against someone that's applying for your unit just because they don't have a job. All right. What do I mean by that? Well, if they have Section 8, but they're not working, or if they have some other sort of rent subsidy, but they're not working, but the rent subsidy actually would pay all the rent that you're looking for and so on and so forth, well, then that qualifies them because it's legal income. All right. So what you're looking for is legal income, and some sort of rent subsidy is legal income. All right. But as far as employment verification, you want to actually call their employer and even do the same research. All right. Make sure that this is not just some number that they gave you that goes to their cousin and they know, hey, listen, when this number comes up, make sure that you say, thank you for calling such and such. How can I help you? You know what I mean? You got some real scammers out there. Okay. So that's that. Let me check these comments again. And by the way, we are live on social media, a few different social media outlets. I am putting more weight on those that signed up for the webinar as opposed to just those that are watching this on social media. Let's see here. Yes, I know you're. Let's see here, trying to raise. Yes, absolutely. Allison, you're absolutely right. A lot of things coming down the pike. All right, about Zillow Manager for application process. All right. Michelle asked, what about Zillow Manager for to support the application process? I'm really not that familiar with Zillow Manager. I really can't speak on it. I don't use Zillow Manager, so I can't really comment on that. But I will look it up though. I will look it up because I do have a lot of landlords that don't have the software that I use. And again, Buildium is what I use for a lot of my stuff. And if others can utilize it, then I will definitely look into that. All right, so let's get back to this. All right, so acceptance and denial of applicants. So if you are going to deny an applicant, you have to give them an adverse action letter, something that basically says why they were denied. All right, was it their credit? Was it their eviction history? Was it, something that a landlord said? Did he get a bad reference? What was it? What was it that caused you to deny their application? This is something that you have to do. This is not optional. Okay. So you want to draft up this letter. And again, this is a part of your system. All right. You want to do this stuff prior to. So you want to draft up this letter and have this so that you can email it to the applicants after they're denied. So you can let them know why they're denied. Okay. A deposit to hold agreement. Okay. So now when you accept an applicant, what I do is I take a deposit to hold, and the deposit to hold is equivalent to the security deposit. So if my security deposit is $1,500, let's just say the rental unit is $1,500 a month, and I'm only taking 1 month's rent or the equivalent of 1 month's rent as a security deposit. My deposit to hold is going to be that amount. All right. So we'll just use $1,500. So in order for me to take the unit off of the market, I need to receive this deposit to hold. All right. So that the applicant gives you this deposit to hold. They sign a document stating that this is non-refundable. All right. Because if I'm taking the unit off the market, then I'm probably turning other people down so that I can accept you. Other people that may be interested in the unit, I'm turning them away because I'm taking the unit off the market because I'm accepting you. So if you later on find, oh yeah, I found a better apartment, or I decided not to move, well, now I'm losing money. So this is what the deposit to hold is. So after I receive that, that's when I take the unit off the market. All right. And again, there should actually be a deposit to hold agreement where they actually sign stating that this is non-refundable. All right. And until that's signed and the money is received, that's when you take the property off the market. All right. Resident orientation. So at the resident orientation, that's when you can do your lease signing and all that. That's if you're not doing a e-lease signing, or like an electronic signature. All right. But that's when you can do your lease signing and all that. And this should be scheduled. I recommend scheduling about an hour or so with the applicant or the tenant at this point. All right. I recommend having setting aside about an hour, because this is where you're going to go over the entire lease. You want them to understand the lease. You want them to understand your rules and regulations. You want them to understand your process, your systems, and so on and so forth. This is my late rent policy. This is my this policy. That's my that policy. So on and so forth. All right. You're going to go over all that at the resident orientation. Another thing that I didn't mention before is anyone over the age of 18 should be submitting a separate application, all for the same unit. But I want everyone's information. I want your name, your numbers, where you work. I want to qualify everyone that's moving in. And this is actually before and after. All right, because sometimes you have someone that wants to move into the unit afterwards. I need an application from them as well. Not to say that I'll deny them. All right, but I want to know who's moving into this unit. But that's a separate story. All right. But the resident orientation. So each adult needs to be there because they're going to need to sign the lease. All right. Again, that's if you're not doing electronic signatures, or you could do it. You can do the electronic signature at that point as well. Just do it electronically as opposed to, with a pen and paper. And you're going over the rules and regulations and so on and so forth. You're also going to scan their IDs. I don't know why I wrote it like that. You're going to scan their IDs. So I have an app on my phone. It's called Scannable. It's called Scannable. Where's my phone at? Oh, it's way over there. All right. I have an app. It's called Scannable. Scannable is a great app for scanning documents. All right. So you don't want to just take a picture, or at least I don't want to just take a picture of their ID. I want to actually get a good, clean scan. And I keep it in an online file with it's in a PDF format and all that good stuff. So you want to get their IDs and all that, and so on and so forth. I already said to explain the lease. And another thing that you want to do is walk around the entire unit with a video camera. So I actually start out by saying, I'll after we sign the lease, I'll let them walk around, see if they could point out anything that may be an issue. Some sort of damage, something that I may have missed, something that my maintenance person may have missed, so on and so forth. Walk around, so on and so forth. Then we'll come together and we will walk around the entire unit. I'll sign on. I'll say, my name is Cameron Norfleet. Today's date is such and such. The time is such and such. I'm here with tenant John Doe. All right. And we're going to walk around the unit to document the condition of the unit as of today. All right. I will ask them to state what is your name. Please state that for the camera, so on and so forth. If they're okay with being on camera, I'll actually show their face. All right. But they're at least talking. All right. And then we're going to walk around the unit. I'm going to show everything. Right. I'm going to show everything in the unit so that is nice, solid, hardcore evidence for what the unit looked like prior to them moving in. All right. And that's what I do with that. All right. All right. So that is the process of selecting a tenant. We are going to move on now. Let me check the questions really quick. Thank you much. Thank you much. All right. Sounds good. Oh, that's my man. Class 211. What's going on? Okay. I want to get distracted. So rent collection. Please. It is 2023. It's 2023. We should not be collecting cash anymore. All right. This presents a lot of issues. One is a safety issue. All right. I just think it's a really bad idea. Excuse me, a really bad idea to be walking in and out of a property, up and down the street with, with thousands of dollars in your pocket. I got my text blowing up right now. Excuse me. With thousands of dollars in your pocket. Just not a good idea. Not a good idea. All right. But also, like when you go to sell the property, because don't forget, I'm a real estate broker, right? So, I've had it many times, whereas the landlords are accepting cash payments, but when a person's trying to buy the property, they're going to want to see documentation that you have this income coming in. You say that these people are paying on time and so on and so forth. Well, we need documentation. If they're paying you cash, yeah, you could present receipts, but you could have wrote those up yesterday. You know what I mean? So you want some sort of solid documentation as to when these people are paying you. So don't collect cash. Let's get out of that. Let's make that a thing of the past, is collecting cash payments. And I've also heard people say, well, tax purposes. All right. Tax fraud is illegal. I'll throw that out there. All right. But it's also short-sighted. If you're thinking about, if you're taking cash because you have a tax thing that you're trying to avoid, again, tax evasion is illegal. All right. But even aside from that, you're actually kind of screwing yourself over, because when it comes to financing, if you want to buy another property or if you want to do something else, you can't show documentation that income is coming in. The bank is not going to accept that they're paying you cash. You need to show them documentation that you are that you're being paid. All right. So an alternative to cash, because let me say this as well, you cannot legally in the state of Connecticut, you cannot tell a tenant that they have to pay online. That's another thing. Okay. So I'm telling you, don't take cash, but you also can't tell a tenant that they have to pay online. So what is the alternative? The alternative is a service, or at least this is one service. This is a service that I use. All right. There are probably plenty out there, but it's a service called Pay Near Me. Pay Near Me. All right. So Pay Near Me, it allows for the tenant. It actually gives the tenant a barcode. They take that barcode. They can go to CVS, 7-Eleven. They can go to CVS, 7-Eleven, Walmart, Walgreens, a few other places, and they could they can have the teller scan that barcode, or the cashier scan that barcode, and then they give their cash to the cashier, and then it goes right into your bank account. It's an awesome software. It's awesome. I love it. Okay. But that's what I do, as opposed to actually taking cash, going to the property, having tenants give me cash. All right. I don't do that. All right. So Pay Near Me is an awesome thing. With that said, if you go directly through Pay Near Me, if they haven't changed this, I know going back some time, this is the way that it was. And I believe that it's still this way, is that you have to have a minimum of 100 units. With that said, There are property management softwares like Buildium. And again, I'm not sponsored by Buildium. I'm just telling you that's what I use. Whereas you don't have to necessarily have that threshold. All right. As long as you have an account with them, then you can qualify for Pay Near Me. All right. You don't necessarily have to have the 100 units. You only have to have that if you go directly through Pay Near Me. All right. But it really is awesome because a lot of people don't have bank accounts. All right. I don't know why, but a lot of people don't have bank accounts. I guess they just don't trust the banking system or whatever the case may be. All right. But this is a great way for them to pay their cash, pay their rent, and it goes directly into your account. All right. One thing that I missed going back to selecting a tenant, I just noticed this. I want to bring this up. At the tenant orientation or at the resident orientation, a couple of documents that you want to present. All right. I know this is covering my face. I don't like that, but anyway, you can take this. Well, whatever. You can see it. All right. This is the protect your family from lead in your home. It's a federal pamphlet that you want to give to the applicant. All right. So you can screenshot that. Let me take myself off here. Get that up there. Let me get rid of this and. All right. Another document is the lead disclosure. The lead disclosure is another document that you definitely want to give to the tenants. All right. This just basically says if there is lead in the building, if the home was built before 1978, this is something that you have to give them, even if there's no lead in the place. All right. You have to give them this document. All right. So you can Google it. Disclosure of information on lead-based paint and or lead-based paint hazards. So Google that, and I'm sure that you can find this document online. All right. Another thing I didn't talk about was the new resident acceptance letter. All right. Kind of skipped over all these documents, but this is a document, and you can screenshot this. This is a document that I use, and this is it's usually formatted better, obviously before I present it to the tenant. It has their name, it has, the accurate date and all that good stuff, and has all this information in here. All right. But this goes over what they should expect after they are accepted from my company, and so on and so forth. All right. It even goes into there'll be a phone number for the gas company, the electric company, the oil, whatever, so that they can make sure that their electricity is turned on, their gas is turned on, and so on and so forth. All right. So that's that. I just want to go over that. I didn't want to miss that. Part of the systems and processes. All right. Let me go back to these comments. It's on a different screen, so yeah, I was distracted. Lots of undocumented working and living. Yes, absolutely. All right. So Pay Near Me is an awesome program. I do not accept Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, all that. I know a lot of landlords do, and there's nothing wrong with that. At least it's not cash, in my opinion. All right. Anything's better than cash. All right. Anything legal is better than cash. All right. I don't use Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, and all that. The reason being is because Buildium actually allows me to, when a tenant pays online, whether they pay through their credit card, bank draft, whether they use the Pay Near Me feature, it automatically goes into the bookkeeping software, and that helps a lot because it's less tedious, it's less man hours to go in and change everything. Okay, and actually physically input the information into my bookkeeping software. Whereas if I had tenants cash apping me, then I have to physically go in there and manually input this information. And here's the thing: it's fine if you got 1 3-unit property, right? And you only have 3 tenants, right? It's fine. It would not be tedious at all. But when you start to accumulate a decent number of units, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem to actually go in and say, okay, well, this person paid, scrolling through Cash App, this person paid on this day, put all that in there, so on and so forth. It could be a mess. So I don't deal with that. I have all these other ways that tenants can pay their rent. All right. So let's talk about property management software. As I was telling you guys, I use Buildium, but there is, and this is just a few. There's plenty of them out there. There's Buildium. There's Appfolio. Those are, as I hear, those are the two best. All right. As I've been told, there's Buildium, Appfolio. There's Tenant Cloud. There's also Apartments.com. I believe that Tenant Cloud and Apartments.com are a little bit less expensive than Buildium and Appfolio. So if you want to use some sort of property management software and and not pay an arm and a leg, those may be options. But I will say this: if you have plans to really scale your portfolio, then it would be a good idea to pick the best software that you can find, even though it might it's going to cost a little bit more, maybe a lot more. All right, but you're going to need those robust features later on if you actually have plans to accumulate. I'll just say, just throw out a number. If you want to accumulate 10 or more units, all right, 20 units, 100 units, all right, you may as well just go ahead and get the best software that's out there, because it's going to pay off later. And it's better to do it now than to be trying to change your software later. Okay. All right. So these are some property management softwares that are out there. Let's see here. Dealing with tenant disputes. So I keep saying this: systems and processes. A lot of landlords that I've spoken to and I've heard about, everybody talk about, yeah, I don't want to be a landlord. My uncle had this problem, that problem, so on and so forth. And again, it all boils down to having great systems and processes. Tenant disputes. You're going to have tenant disputes. You're going to have issues. My system is this right here. I get involved with tenant disputes. Listen, the second floor, they always play their music too loud, or their son stole my son's bike, or this one is parking in my parking space, or whatever the complaint is. All right. I only get involved after the police have gotten involved, because then what I do is, you tell me, yeah, I had to call the cops because this person did X, Y, Z. This person threatened me, whatever the case may be. I'm not taking anyone's word for it. I'm not going to take any sides. You are both my tenant. Okay. I'm not taking anybody's side. So I wait till after the police have been involved. I get a copy of the police report. If the cops say you were wrong, then you were wrong. If the cops say that one was wrong, then that one was wrong. Okay. That's what I base it off of. All right. And that eliminates me picking sides and all that craziness. All right. So we only get involved after the police have gotten involved. All right. And that's pretty much how I deal with tenant-on-tenant disputes. All right. Let's see here. Building property maintenance systems. I think I had nope. Let me go back. Let's see here. I missed some stuff. Should have did this better. But anyway, we're going to go back to property management software, because there was something that I want to show you. And that is this right here. I'm take this down. All right. So what to look for in a good property management software. You might want to screenshot this right here. What to look for in a great in a great property management software. That is great customer service, because you're going to have a lot of questions right off the rip. You're going to have a lot of questions on how the software works. If you don't have a background in bookkeeping or accounting or whatever, you're going to have a lot of questions about how to do the bookkeeping piece of it. All right. So having great customer service is paramount. All right. I've used them a lot over the last several years. All right. Because I didn't know anything about bookkeeping when I first started with this stuff. Never took a class on that. All right. So great customer service is paramount. Online customizable applications. All right. So for the rental applications, they should have online applications. It should be customizable, fully customizable, or at least as customizable as humanly possible, because you're going to want to ask your own questions. They're going to have some, some basic questions or whatever, but my application is actually, I'm not calling it extensive, but it's very customized. I'll put it like that. All right. You want the property management software to have good or some sort of electronic signature software, to whereas you don't have to have a tenant sign pen and paper, all right, like a wet signature or whatever. They should have some sort of e-signature software. They should have online rent collection, where a tenant can pay with credit cards, bank draft. They can schedule payments, and all that. Good account and bookkeeping software. If they don't have that, they're trash. Find someone else. Online maintenance requests. That's important as well. Your tenant should be able to go on and fill out a maintenance request. I should have had this one here prior to. I didn't order these correctly, but resident portal. In my resident portals, a tenant can go in, they can pay their rent and all that good stuff, and they could also do the fill out maintenance requests in there. All right, so that's very important. 1099 e-filing, extremely important. Here's the thing that a lot of people don't realize: if you own your property in an LLC or some sort of entity, I should say, I don't want to just say an LLC. If you own your property in some sort of entity, all right, and it's not in your name, and you are hiring contractors, write this down because it's extremely important. All right, especially if you ever get audited by the IRS. All right, you want to collect a W-9 from each contractor that's doing work on you, or that's doing work on your property. A W-9. You want to collect that from the contractor, because at the end of the year, you're going to need to send them a 1099. All right, you're going to need to send them a 1099. And this is basically whereas you're telling the IRS, I paid this person. Why are you telling them this? Because this should be a tax deduction for you, but the IRS is going to be expecting for that person to claim this on their taxes. If they do or they don't, that's not your issue. All right, but you are doing your part. You need to be sending a 1099 to the IRS every year. In regards to any contractor that may have done work for you. If you're not, then you're messing up, and you could be held liable later by the IRS. You don't want them kind of issues. All right. And rental listing syndications. That's also something that any good property management software should certainly have. What did I just do here? Oh, goodness gracious. Branding, and take that off. Here we go. All right. So let me go back here. Let's try to find where I was. All right. So building property maintenance systems. Extremely important. Maintenance is a big part of people's frustrations when it comes to managing property. Getting calls in the middle of the night. Everybody wants to talk about, I don't want to be changing toilets at 2 o'clock in the morning, so on and so forth. I've never changed a toilet at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'll just throw that out there. All right. I've got people for that. And they don't necessarily go out there to fix a toilet at 2 o'clock in the morning. I have had water issues. I have had a flood or whatever, and I have had to go out to a property at 2 o'clock in the morning, but it wasn't for a toilet. So you want to have systems in place where you already know in advance how you handle your maintenance issues. And one thing that you're going to want to do is build a team of contractors so that you can call. You have a list of plumbers, a list of electricians, a list of carpenters, a list of all these people, these professions, so that when something arises, you already have these numbers in your Rolodex, like we're back in the 80s, right? And your phone. Okay. You want to have this list of contractors that's ready, willing, and able to handle any issue that you might have. I've had it to whereas my wife and I went out to Hawaii, and as soon as I get there, I have this crazy flood at this building, and now I'm dealing with 6-hour time difference, and I'm trying to handle an issue. But it was actually much easier because I had a team in place. I said, hey, listen, this is the issue. I need you to go out and take care of this issue. It was still a little bit stressful because I wasn't there, and it was a big issue. It was a big flood that took place, and it had to happen when I was on the other side of the world almost. Right. But what you want to do is start saving contractor information now. All right. So whether you're thinking about getting into real estate investing, or whether you already have rental units today, you want to start saving contractor information now. All right. One thing that I do is, as I'm driving down the street, if I see Joe's Plumbing, I just threw that out there. I don't know if that's an actual name. All right. Joe's Plumbing and Heating or whatever, out, and it's a truck that's just riding down the street. I'm going to take out my phone. I'm going to take a picture. Make sure I zoom in nice and close. I'm at a traffic light. I'm not driving. Okay. For all your cops out there. I'm going to take a picture of it. And later on, I'm going to take that information and put it into my software. I use Notion. You can write that down. It's called Notion. All right. But I have a whole contractor list on there, a whole list of contractors, I should say. All right. But anytime I'm on the road, I see somebody driving or whatever, could be plumbing, could be, some heating and air conditioning, could be whatever. I'll take a picture and I'll take that information and put it into my Notion later on. So that I just expanding on my list of contractors. Oh, you can't do it? No problem. I'll call this one. You can't do it? No problem. I'll call this one. I've got a pretty extensive list at this point. All right. But that's something that I recommend you doing. Start collecting information on contractors as you go. And also, if you're out and about, or if you know someone that's or if you hear someone that's a great carpenter or whatever the case may be, ask for their information, because you never know when you're going to need them. All right. It could be something like chimney repair. Right. You don't know when you're going to need this person. Take their information down now. All right. Let me back up a little bit. Another thing that you want to do is take videos and photos of the electrical panels, the water shutoff valves, and the gas meters. All right. Very important. Very important. This is like high level stuff here, by the way. Just putting that out there. All right. So you want to take photos and videos of these devices, because you never know when you're going to need those photos. So photos or videos. One thing that I've done is I'll actually go to the water shutoff valve, and I will take a video of me going to the water shutoff valve. From, if it's in the basement, I'll walk into the basement, walk into the basement, so they know exactly where it's at. Go over here, shut it off. All right. This is how you shut off the water, the main valve, the main water shutoff valve. Why do I have that? And I'm just going to save it in my Google Drive or Evernote or whatever you use. And I'll save it in there, because if I am in Hawaii or, somewhere, and I can't get there to shut off the water, I don't want to be trying to explain to the tenant, run downstairs right now, go down there, it's off to your left, you'll see a little valve. You want to find that valve and turn it off. They end up turning off the wrong one, or whatever the case may be. All right. Instead of that, send them this video. All right. This is how you shut off the main water, and it's done. These are those little things that make life so much easier. Okay. But again, so that's that. Start saving contractor information now. Take pictures and videos, or take pictures of contractors, vehicles. And another way that you can meet contractors is at local meetups. All right. Local real estate events, local meetups, and so on and so forth. And of course, you probably know I added that as a nice little segue into what I got going on later on this month, September 19th. September 19th, I have a networking night, dinner and discussion. And as I was stating earlier, there will be attorney Yona Gregory. She's an attorney here in the state of Connecticut. She will be discussing a lot of the changes that are coming up starting October 1st. She'll be answering questions and so on and so forth. It will be in the New Haven area. I'm going to put that out there. I don't want people just showing up, because there's also a buffet, and I'm paying for this buffet. And so, you do have to RSVP. You do have to pay. It's $15. And that's just because I don't want people just RSVPing for no reason. So I had to put a cost to it. They're actually charging me more than that for the buffet, $22.50, I believe, to be exact. I'm just throwing that out there. If this is something if this is something that you want to do, if you want to be a real estate investor, all right, or if you are a real estate investor, networking is key. All right. So you'll definitely want to be at this event. Attorney Yona Gregory will be there. I also have a mortgage, a loan officer that will be there. She will be discussing some programs, some new programs that are available specifically for investors. Okay, so she'll be there as well. She'll be discussing that. And that is pretty much it. Let me go back to these. Okay, so no more comments at this time. All right. So that's pretty much it, you guys. That is pretty much the conclusion of the webinar. I'm looking to see if I missed anything. Guess I'll throw this one out there. If you are thinking about buying or selling a property, by all means, visit our website, Trinaya.com. We are a full service real estate brokerage, and we service predominantly New Haven County, Harford County. We do have, we can service outside of that area, but that's predominantly our area. And that's about it. All right. So if you are watching this later on YouTube or whatever, then hit that like button, comment, subscribe, all that stuff that all the YouTubers say. And that's about that. So I want to thank you guys for joining the webinar. I do have another one coming up next month. I'm doing a webinar every single month going forward. And that's pretty much that. All right. So what's the YouTube link? Just go to YouTube and type in my name, Cameron Norfleet. Let me see. I'll put this in right now. Put this in the comments, and then I'll put it on the screen. On my name, right? Actually, that's not it. It's youtube.com. youtube.com/ Okay. Put that in the comments and put it up here. Oh, wow. That's how it came up. Okay. So that's where you go for YouTube. Just type my name in, youtube.com/ Cameron Norfleet, and you'll find me there. All right. Again, thank you guys all for joining. I really appreciate it. Sorry about the, I don't know, it was like a 5 or 10 minute delay almost. And I'm really upset about this lighting. I was not planning on using this computer. I don't know what happened with my other computer, but that's all I got for you guys for today. As always, thank you for your time. Make it a great day.